BTFD is back. I know we had a little hiatus trying to get everyone's schedule up and trying to get my schedule up, but we're back. Me, Bobo, the hash is running a little bit late, but he should be flying in. And other than that, everything looks good. Um, I think I think we're in for a wild ride for the incoming future. Um, but yeah, that being said, today's been weird ish. At least for me, marijuana is rallying, meme stocks are rallying, Apple's rallying, and everything else is selling off. So if you're not a meme stock or Tesla or Apple or a marijuana stock, you're kind of fucked. I mean, 3M is down pretty big on my port. We're looking at $1.81 down day for 3M. It's a weird market. I like weird markets because I think you can have a lot of edge if you want to play it right.
Yeah, I mean, I've been. I told you in our little pregame. I've been extraordinarily cautious today. I've had 6 trades. They've all been winners, although I've got a seventh one now that is losing, but I'm just going to stick with it. And I have a lot of trepidation about this market. You already mentioned the key things, which is, I've got Apple. I've got Apple in my long-term account. And, I just can't believe in this market it's up 350. But I will tell you that big players, hedge funds that are discretionary funds, have been buying it, throughout when the downturn really happened. There's the man from Glad is here.
I know. I'm really digging that Chicago Bulls hat that he got on. It looks brand new.
That's a good looking lid.
No, it's vintage. It's vintage, boys. That, and I got my Dolly Parton gear on today. I'm in a good place. What's up, guys? How's it going? What'd I miss?
Well, we're just talking about how kind of crappy the market is. I was just saying how cautious I've been all day. I've had 6 or 7 trades up till now, and I just was in and out of them as quick as I could. I just don't want to stick around.
And why is that? What's your gut telling you?
I'm just very uncomfortable with this market.
From a geopolitical stance, from a news stance, from a
no, not political at all. I think in terms of Ukraine, Russia. I mean, it's a problem for crude. One of my plays this morning actually was an overnight play, which is highly unusual for me. I was long crude, and it didn't pay till this morning, and of course I took it off too early. But that's pretty typical for me. So I guess Trafalgar came out. Andorran spoke last week. He was actually even on Odd Lots. I think he was on Bloomberg too. Said he's expecting oil to go to 150 in the short run, drop back to 120, and then go as high as 200. Trafalgar, which is another major fund in Europe, said the 150 price again, and that led to some strong oil moves this morning. But in terms of the equity markets, I'm very uncomfortable.
What's your, sorry to keep beating a dead horse here, but what's your gut that the next move in equities looks like from a macro perspective? If we flash forward to Easter is what, April 17th? If we flash forward to the week after Easter, what are you thinking here? Where do you see the major indices?
Well, that's the problem, Lefty. I have no fucking idea. I mean, and that's the problem. I don't have any idea. It seems like, you had Fed officials, 2 people I think came out yesterday and spoke, both talking about 50 point rate hikes.
Yep.
They're both talking about what, 2.5 by the year end. I mean, honestly, we've talked about that before. I don't think that's realistic. I think it's more about jawboning, but nonetheless, it strikes how serious the situation is. Muck and I were talking a little bit about inflation. I don't know. I mean, I just know that in terms of crude, there's not an ability to pump more crude right now and to get more crude to the market. I'm told that the fracking stuff that I was told was kind of cold for a while. Well, now, now I've learned a little bit more over the last 2 months that it's that a lot of the good fracking has already been done. It's already mature. It's not to say that the wells are dry, but that they're not producing. They're not going to produce enormous amounts, and that any growth in fracking is going to be in kind of secondary wells and such. So, we may be going back to limited supply, and as well, I think we all thought that when OPEC kind of limited supply, that those were genuine limits. But it appears that a bunch of the countries within that OPEC really didn't invest in work that had to be done to keep producing large amounts, and they're not even meeting quotas. So, I think we're kind of screwed on that.
So, like, what I mean, I guess just in the market, to me, there's a lot of different opinions. There's the perma bears who think that we're going to 3,800, and they're really all about that. I don't think we get there. That's a lot. And the perma bulls think that we're going above 4,800. I don't know. I think we can stay in this 4,600 to 4,200 range for a long time. I was saying pre-show with Bob, maybe the Fed does do 2 more 50 basis hikes, try kill inflation. But my thing with inflation is I don't really think it's inflation. I think it's supply chain issue. I don't think a rate hike fixes that. I think we need to invest more in supply chain than we do a 50 bip hike each of the next two. But if they do that, can they then cut down and keep Fed funds at somewhere around 70 at 0.75 and then have like a new rally because they're cutting down rate, and then keep it somewhere around a half to a quarter, like a half to 3/4 of a percent on the Fed funds? Like, you can bring it here and then bring it down. I don't know, because I don't.
Are you advocating that the reason they're raising Fed funds is so that they have bullets in their holsters, so that when the shit hits the fan in 6 months, they simply have a loaded weapon?
Kind of. I mean, we don't have anything now. I don't think that they would ever go negative rates. I mean, I know we've gone negative real rates, but I don't think that they would ever drop it below 0. So I think in their mind, if they raise it up and maybe we're at 1.25% or like 1.5%, they can always cut that back down to 1/4 or 1/2.
They have tools outside of that. They can start to destroy some of the money that they printed over the last few years. Like, at some point, inflation is a byproduct of everybody having extra cash on hand and forcing prices higher, right? Back to Bob's issue on crude. Crude is the second most prevalent liquid on the face of this planet. Give me a break. We've demonized and we've called it a fossil fuel, when in reality it's the second most plentiful liquid on the planet. Like, come on, who are we kidding? People are driving less year over year. Oil consumption is down. To the supply chain thing, I think it's a manufacturer problem. I know I'm a deep conspiracy theorist on many, many topics, but I'm also a gut trader. At some level, the tea leaves don't look right on this whole setup. And I got to be honest, if you voted for Biden to get into office, you got to feel pretty lied to at this moment. I voted for Kanye. Go ye. But at some point, you voted for energy independence, you voted for no student loans, and you voted for secure borders and things, right? That's what you voted for. And what you got was increased time frame, but you still have to pay your student loans back. You got shutdowns of things like Keystone and other major pieces to our energy independence. And you're on the precipice of World War III, depending on which mainstream media account you want to listen to. I don't believe it's anywhere near that. I believe it's a much more surgical, tactical attack by the Russians. I don't want to be political. I'm not a geopoliticist. I am not a EV car operator. I just think the whole thing smells like a rotten trade. And if it's me, I want to hit the eject button. If I'm in charge, I'm trying to hit the eject button on a bunch of things simultaneously. So there's my rant. But I think you have to raise the Fed funds rate because you've made the forecast what it is. I think you have to put the rate at 1.5% going forward. We're currently priced. That's a total of 6 hikes, 6 quarter basis point hikes, right? I think right now your forward curve is pricing in 9 by December. Wow. By the end of December, you're pricing in 9, and it doesn't work for me. It really hurts to get to 6. It's like adding more kids. I don't know how many kids Bob wound up with. Bob, you have 18 or 19? 3. See, here's the funny thing about kids. After number 3, there's no extra work. So they just kind of take care of themselves, at least in my experience. I didn't even teach my last 2. I didn't even potty train my last 2 kids. Those 2 kids got taught by the other kids. Like, it just kind of happens, right? Mm-hmm. At some point, adding more interest rate isn't going to fix the problem. It's just going to kind of sit there, and we're going to have the negative effects. We will be in a recession for the next 3 years at our current rate, and we will kick it off by June 1st.
Now you get a lot of argument for me.
I can't find it. I voted for Andrew Yang, so I guess my vote is just as meaningful as your Kanye vote.
I also live in Illinois, and you live in California. It's like you might as well throw any vote that's not straight down the blue line.
I guess I was talking with Bob, and it's just like I feel like almost what we were talking about 7 years ago is still kind of prevalent. I feel like the markets are still kind of broken, or maybe less broken, more disjointed. I mean, on my screen, I'm seeing the meme stocks are up, marijuana's up, Apple and Tesla are flying. Everything else seems to be down. That's really kind of weird. I mean, I don't understand some of the sector rotations that are going on now. It's like very, very disjointed, and it seems to just be like me in elementary school when I didn't take my Ritalin, just kind of all over trying to do multiple things but never really finishing anything. But that's just my opinion. I think I don't know. I'm just kind of confused on where some of the things are and how some of the things are just on life support, but yet some stuff that should be on life support is rallying. I feel like we have a ton more zombie companies out there than we've had in a long time.
I think that's right, Buck. I think there's a lot of zombies sitting out there that just need to be just dead weight to just hide. But how that's going to get done, it's going to be a long-tailed process.
I mean, I don't know. I feel like a
Apple is
lot of people.
Apple's currently worth 21x Disney.
That's a little weird.
The big hitters, the heavyweight pieces of the indexes are still positive.
Yep.
It's the mid to small sizes and adios. I also think you're going to see a destruction of value on the crypto side. I don't want to see it, but I think it's going to happen.
It's already slowly happening, kind of, with the
Here's
rules they're putting in place and stuff like that.
Here's what's going to really happen. I have some pretty interesting intel that we're going to get a surprise announcement on a central bank cryptocurrency.
Yeah,
Really?
there was leaks out of Treasury that they were coming out with something like a USD crypto. Like
It's
earlier this week.
I will let you know that it's close to done.
If that comes, does that just destroy Ether and BTC, or
does it destroy them? Well, you tell me.
See, I was having this conversation with a friend of mine yesterday, and he's kind of new into the markets, but he was saying that global fiat is going to go away, and my thing to that was like, well, then Bitcoin prices need to come down, or there needs to be more of them, because if you look at it as now, right? Let's just say Bitcoin's 40,000 a coin and Ethereum is 5,000 a coin. Do you want to take 0.00000089 of that 40,000 to go buy a Big Mac at McDonald's or something like that, when that every day can move? And if Bitcoin goes from 40,000 to 200,000, what you just bought at McDonald's actually cost you a shit ton more. Where when you're spending euros, dollars, yen, Chinese yuan, whatever, that interest rate in your country, the forex rate doesn't matter to you, because $1 is worth $1 here. It doesn't really move. The value of the dollar isn't traded inversely to anything. I mean, other than forex markets, but that doesn't affect your buying power in the United States. Bitcoin would.
I think you're wrong, but I'll tell you why. I don't think it's for the reason that I think, but I really like what Mosca Montgomery just said about the habit has been formed in the market by giving people money with nowhere to go for 2 years and letting them put it in Robinhood. And they take their advice from TikTok. And it's like, yes, I know, I see it. And that's, so I would argue that the inflationary pressures that you're currently feeling, that your favorite drink at Starbucks just went from $3.89 to $4.14, is the same situation that you're feeling in the Bitcoin. You don't have a proxy to look at it.
True.
Right. So when you travel to Europe, right, you're trying to get your best exchange rate for your dollars into euros. You feel that, oh, yeah, it fluctuated. I should have changed them yesterday. Now it's less, right? Like you just don't feel that in a closed dome. Like you're in a closed environment.
Yeah.
And just because Bitcoin is a alien in that, doesn't mean that the environment still isn't closed. So it's just that you don't have a proxy to look at it. You might be right. I think, well, my blockchain thoughts are different. I think there's some amazing projects out there. I think there's tech that's going to change the world. I also think we're a little screwed.
In my opinion, I guess, and I could be off because you're way better at blockchain than I am. I think it's hard to turn an investment, which I kind of see Ethereum and Bitcoin into a standard fiat currency, because they still move like an investment. I guess that's my that's my policy, where like the dollar does move with inflation and cost rises, but like you see that way more gradually over time than you do with the snap of the Bitcoin would have to be way less volatile. in the entire space for someone to actually want to use a blockchain currency to buy something from Taco Bell. I guess that's, and I could be completely wrong with that, but you know, you don't want to be the dude who used some Bitcoin to buy pizza and now that Bitcoin is worth X hundreds of thousands of percent.
I think my son did buy Domino's pizza at college with Bitcoin at one point.
Yeah, I mean, one of my best friends who manages over $500 million at a big bank, you know, he won a bet when Tom Brady won his first Super Bowl and got paid with 2,000 Bitcoins. It went up to $2,300 from 1,800, and he sold them out and took his profit. And he talks about it being the worst trade of his life. I'm like, actually, it was a great trade.
Yeah,
it was a great trade. You wouldn't have held it anyways. So, anyway.
Hey, Mark, I may close out of that trade already. Take a look at it.
Oh wow, that's a good call.
Anyway, well, just to let everybody know that I shorted Winnebago at like at 55.80. So
wait, what'd you short? Winnebago?
Yeah, Winnebago. WGO.
Winnebago, Camping World, and Thor are just getting like anything like toy hauler-ish and extracurricular activity is just getting murdered today.
Well, those things suck up so much fuel. You know, that's the other thing. So
what did you short this at?
I shorted it at 55.80.
That's a great sell.
Yeah, I literally did it right before the show. Right, Mike?
Yep. He did it through the stock. I did it through options. I bought some puts on it.
Beats a hell out of working for a living, Lefty.
Work.
Indeed.
Doesn't production have to stop for Bitcoin to stabilize and become a real currency? Why would you buy stock if they issue? Why would you use dollars if they issue new dollars every day? That's a circular argument that misses the point. Bitcoin is fixed in the total number that can be minted or whatever they want to call it, right? Mined.
Yeah.
So, there might be more in circulation, but there'll never be more created once the maximum number gets hit. For me, if you're gonna buy a coin long term, buy a coin that has a project that you really love. Buy a coin that is working on things or like one of my core holdings, and I do not care if you at me. I don't care. One of my big core holdings is Hedera, and I did it because I really like the people that are on board with this project. That was the reason. I think it has real world application, but I think that at the end of the day, I look at the people who've signed on and said, yeah, I'm going to put my name and I'm going to stick my neck out on this. Okay, those are the people I'll follow. I'll tell you one thing from leading a church that I've learned. Yes, I lead a church and I still say shit. Is that at the end of the day, most people want to be led in some capacity. They want to be told what to do. I'm not saying that from a religious standpoint, but I've interviewed 200 rookie traders. What's their number one thing? I just want to be on a team. I want somebody to tell me what to do. I want to learn how to do this, right? They want to be led. If you can get good people in front and get them to lead, dude, you can sell freezers to, and that's not politically correct anymore. Sorry. At any rate, pick your metaphor. But man, I'm on a freaking roll today. I'm on fire. And here we go. Brand new highs in the yield curve on the long end.
Jeez.
There we go.
Chugga.
You playing that, Lefty?
Can I plead the fifth? Yeah, of course I can.
Okay. You can plead the fifth.
Yeah. Oh, I like your hat too, Bob. That's legit.
This is my new one.
No, I like it. Okay.
So-
Sorry, Muck. I have to finish this thought with Bob before it leaves my brain again. Where are we at in the major indices in a percentage basis change from today to the week after Easter?
You know, I mean, as I said, well, I gotta close this trade out. I have no idea. I'm so neutral. You know, I mean, what you mentioned earlier in that a couple of stocks are driving this entire bus, and the bottom is just absolutely rotted out. It's just a box that's going to fall on top of itself, I'm afraid.
Yeah, but how many miles down the road can it get before it does that?
I mean, I'm not smart enough to know. I mean, you know, I'm just a lowly trader, man. I'm just trying to make a couple of bucks, but because I don't know. You know, it strikes me that the tone of the Federal Reserve officers has changed. Somehow they have gotten comfortable with asset prices as they are, and they seem willing to take the risk on those assets. But for what's going on politically in Russia, Ukraine, and then the events that will transpire. I mean, what was this talk I heard? Was it yesterday or the day before about these $500 gas cards they were talking about giving away? I know they're not giving it away to me, but how can they even do that? And what the hell is that going to do? I mean, and under what authority? I mean, it's just mayhem. Dogs and cats sleeping together.
What I mean, just look at what the 30-year mortgage is and how fast that went up. Like that's insane. I mean that one threw me off on how it's at 4.25 right now, and it's only going to go up with each hike. No,
No, it's not at 4.25. I'll tell you right away. It's at 5 point. It's at 5 right now with 0 points. If you're the best customer in the world right now, you're getting just below 5.
Is that right?
487.5. You're getting 5%, and I'm telling you, they're gonna go up and tap 6. Last time we saw 6 was like 2005, 2006, right before the bubble popped.
Yeah.
You want to talk about a bubble pop? Dude, there's still, like we talked about this last time I was on here. There's no inventory in my enclave outside of Chicago.
No.
I just watched somebody flip a house for $1 million on about a 30-month timeline with minimal improvements, maybe 150 grand all in. Right? And you're like, well, I wish I would have done that, but there's a reckoning coming. And we're all flush with cash right now. No one's flush with cash, but
right. So I guess that's like, it also takes back to the last time we we're talking about is that I have a negative view on Affirm, Upstart, SoFi, a lot of these new money lenders, because of what they're essentially doing is consolidating your credit card rate at a high rate, and you pay them off monthly. But I mean, shit, you got to bundle that and get that off your books as quick as possible. And I don't know if they can. But with the rates going up, I mean, those are all variable rates. When people default, that's a lot of money because you're paying that money out, hoping that someone pays you off fully. But you're paying the other companies that you consolidated with right away. I don't know. I think we can have another either big or small bubble pop, with CDOs again.
Well, I mean, just as an aside, I saw an article that came out yesterday that talked about record, mind you, foreclosures on homes in the state of Connecticut. Record bigger than 2009, 2008, 2010, the largest ever. So I think I think we can talk about the upper middle class or whatever, but these are the people that are struggling to get by, and I think they leveraged themselves up. I think they weren't even playing Robin Hood games. I think they were just paying bills off and just kiting it a little bit further. And when the rent forbearance and mortgage forbearance kind of went by the wayside, they're all kinds of effed.
Well, like, look, let's just look at the used car, used truck, used semi truck, used trailer. Those markets are insane because there's nothing out there. You can get a 3-year-old semi truck with 500,000 miles on it and a 4-year-old trailer, like dry van trailer, just to haul shit, for brand new prices of what you could get a new one for now. So all the companies, Regions Bank, Truist and stuff like that, all those guys that play in the truck space for equipment finance are going to be hurting because those portfolios are going to go upside down when that market resets to where it's historically normally been, because someone's going to have a truck that was worth $30,000 that they paid $95,000 for, and they have a loan on it, and that's going to be hard to make if everything comes back to normal. I know. I guess I'm scared of a mean reversion. I feel like we're outside the norms. If we come back to where we normally come, I think things can get really worse for the average person.
So walk me through what the mean reversion piece of that is. What's the mean?
So right now, if even if you just look at if the normal supply of cars come back, right? You look at Carvana's buying cars for more than what they were bought for new 3 years ago. So
yeah, but they're not. This isn't the Zillow game, because Zillow. You're describing the Zillow handcuff, right? Where they were lifting house prices and then got tagged because nobody was buying the houses. People are still buying cars.
They are, but they're not. A lot more people are financing those cars at a higher price than what those cars are worth.
Yeah, I agree.
When the supply comes back on and those cars drop in their overall value, you're instantly upside down on every loan that you have or that anyone has. If they bought a car that was worth, $35,000 and now they had to pay $70,000 for it, when the new supply, like if supply chain fixes itself, there's gonna be a massive correction in the prices of automobiles and just basic equipment. All basic equipment has gone up almost 100%. And that comes back down, you're underwater. And if your job rates come down, right, from where they were pushed up, if they come back down to where they normally were, you now can't make your payments on that equipment because you're not making the money. Or I could be wrong, and I will accept that maybe I'm a little too much of a Chicken Little.
No, I mean, who's to say one of us is right or wrong? I don't think that's the point. I think the biblical text of iron sharpens iron is the idea that we all sit in the room and we discuss and we come to conclusions that are based upon our best given information and our best guesses, and we sharpen each other's thinking. And so, yeah, maybe that's the case. I've got a friend who has a Ford Expedition Max. Is that what they're called? The big 7-seaters. They're like the Ford version of the Suburban.
Yeah.
I think he bought it used with 50,000, maybe 2018, 2019. And I bet it's got 100,000 now. We were talking about the other day, and he said, "Oh, I got a quote from the dealer for 38,000." 38,000 for a Ford with 100,000 miles. I mean, and this is a family vehicle. Like, it's not Bob's beautiful Acura, right? Or are you driving a Lexus now, Bob?
No, I'm still driving a BMW.
Oh, okay. I'm so sorry. So sorry. Bob's
Wait a second, Lefty.
series.
Lefty. It's a 2001 M3. I'm still paying for kids in college.
Oh, it was the custom built one with the gold interior and the
well,
seats.
It does have 191,000 miles on it.
Let's go. And you know what? I'm going to start a thread of people taking pictures of their odometers and posting them. I'd love to see plus 100,000 odometers.
I will do it. I will do it.
That's it. I'm going to start it. I'm going to go take a picture of my old minivan. He's got a bucket of chop. Boy, I haven't said that in ages. That's a floor saying. How many you got? Bucket of chop. You mean
bucket of chop?
I'll buy 200.
Chop.
Yeah. So my point is, this is a beat up vehicle, right?
Yeah.
And let's go, dude. A 98 Lexus with 130. Yeah. Yeah. My point is, you're right on the pricing model right now. But I don't see it coming back.
Okay.
I don't see the reversion. It's just like I don't see us getting back the freedoms that have been stolen by the Patriot Act or any other COVID measures over the last 2 years.
I don't see the freedoms from the Patriot Act ever coming back. I don't think we'll ever have unvetted cell phone access. I mean, that's gone. COVID stuff. I mean, I'll be happy if we can get plane travel without masks at this point.
I got Vax ID to go to my son's volleyball game, 8th grade volleyball game the other day.
Yeah, but you also live in Chicago.
I live in California.
I know. I don't get Vax ID anywhere for anything anymore.
That's my point. Like, the restrictions are gone in Chicago. You don't need a card. You don't need a mask. And yet I still got Vax ID to get into a 8th grade volleyball game. I told the woman it was illegal, and then I showed her a picture of Elmo on my phone, and she was like, "Okay, that's good. Thank you. Go on." It wasn't actually Elmo, but yeah. I mean, I don't keep a lot of Elmo pictures on my phone, just a few.
Well, we only got rid of masks here about 3 weeks ago.
And well, my kids weren't until March 17th.
Yeah, and we flew down to Florida and still had to wear masks on the damn flight.
The mask on the plane might.
It's anti-science. There's no way you can defend it. It's anti-science.
No, yeah, the Senate just passed a thing saying they're trying to repeal that. It's got to go to the House, and then Biden has to sign it, but they're trying.
I got a little project. I need about $3 million. Does anybody want to fund it?
Not me.
What kind of project is it?
Used cars. No, I do have a brand new, and that's a different story for a completely different thread. Yeah. I don't see the freedoms coming back. I don't see us going back to lower things. I think I said this last time, but I will take your $350. Thank you very much. That will buy me a third of a cup of coffee at Starbucks. I don't know why we need to increase domestic output, gross domestic output, total. I don't know why we need to keep increasing it year over year. We will not be less happy if we did 30% less GDP for the next 5 years. Now, you're not going to have as much wealth, but honestly, like, where's this insane idea that we need to keep growing at astronomical rates coming from?
Keep up with China?
Really? China is the country that in 2006, 7, and 8 built ghost cities to stimulate their economy. It took 14 years for that rooster to come and crow. But dude, Chinese real estate right now, I don't know if you follow these stories out there, but it is absolute. Their bonds are trading like 14 cents on the dollar.
Yeah.
Like, this stuff is toxic. Why? Why did we need to do that? Just take your haircut, right? Cut your coif, take your haircut, be a man about it, or a woman, or
Well, I mean, I think one of the biggest problems, it goes back to kind of the question you asked me, Lefty, which is, where does the market end up? I think that, I listened to a very interesting tweet stream on Saturday that's led by a guy, I think George Noble is his name. G Noble 79 is his handle.
Oh God.
You think he's bad? He had some. I'm going to tell you. I don't know. I don't know his stuff all that well, but he had some very smart people on, and
he has a lot of smart people, and he will tell you that he used to work for Peter Lynch too.
Yeah, it's in his bio. I just pulled him up.
I think he did mention that, but irrespective, I mean, one thing they pointed to was that with the 401ks are driving this market. There's a certain amount of money that comes in every Monday, and we've seen it. I mean, if you looked at what happened on Monday, the chart, look at the equity charts, and you look when the open happened, they pumped it before it opened, and then into the open just ramped it, and then sold the shit out of it off. Now, I don't know how much of that was non-discretionary 401k money that came in and bought at those elevated rates and then immediately got sold off. But the fact is, you still have so much money that's coming into this market on a daily basis and gets kind of double or triple counted that, I don't know. I mean, I sit here and say, I used to be, this bear died a slow and difficult death, but I'm not so ready to just jump on the full bear train. I think that we've talked about what the problem in the market is, and the problem in the market is that you got 5 or 6 companies, Microsoft, Apple, to a lesser extent, Amazon, driving this bus. And the rest of the stuff is like, 3-day-old fish. It stinks. And I don't know what the hell's going to happen. I mean, you got fertilizer. I mean, and who knows what the hell's going to happen in the ag space. We need a farmer on here.
That's my thing about the I think the ag space is the most dangerous thing there is. I mean, if wheat were to go like limit up 2 more times, we're going to start seeing famine in a lot of places. Because there's a ton of countries that import wheat and corn to feed the people. That's going to hurt. That leads to death, revolutions, fun stuff. No, Noble's a gray-haired guy. I like his opinions on market structure, but his opinions on, he's been calling for 3,800 for the last 3 months in the E-minis, and calling for 250 a barrel oil. So I can't. It's kind of,
well, I haven't followed him that long, but he had very good people on the podcast that knew a lot of shit that was very usable for me.
But I don't know. We can bring Jared back in, and he can talk about farmland since he's a farmer.
I'd like to know what's going on the ground.
Dude, those
U.S. farmers.
That whole ag space. I know Left has a ton of friends in it. That just been scary, like fucking scary as fuck every day. Because it's either flatlined or limit up or down. Like it's either like this, that, or that. Like there isn't. It's oh man, what do they used to say? Short wheat, short vol, live in a mansion until you light it on fire.
Makes sense. little sketchy, but yeah, I mean, here's the secret. There's more than enough food to feed everyone in this world.
Then
We
why-
produce more than enough food globally to feed everyone.
I feel like we should do that then.
We do.
Uh,
So I know a very high up manager at a Trader Joe's in Lincoln Park.
nice area.
Yeah, beautiful area, right? North side of Chicago, a lot of double income, no kids, a lot of people making, both of them making six figures, right? You want to take a stab at what his daily throwaway produce number is that he needs to stay under.
I'll stay under.
They need to stay like in tonnage.
No, in dollars.
5K.
18.5.
Wow.
$18,500 of produce that he throws away on a daily average. Now,
Wait, is that based on the retail price or
that's their retail price, so that's not wholesale.
No, understood.
Very good distinction. And it, let's be honest, these guys are. This is a monstrous store. This has got to be one of their biggest stores, and it might not just be
how many square feet?
whatever one of their biggest stores looks like. It's not one of the little tic tac ones, but let's just say that maybe it wasn't produce, maybe it was store wide. But again, you're looking at it and you're saying like you're throwing away $18,000 of food. Now, granted, that doesn't all get thrown away, right? I mean, some of it gets delivered to food pantries, some of it gets delivered to stores, homeless shelters, the like. But that's got to get out of his store. So you're like, dude, we make a ton of food. We can feed the world for 30 billion according to world whatever estimates, right? It's like, oh, that's a bad sale. You should not be selling ultras here, and I just did. Sorry.
Uh-oh.
But at the end of the day, like, again, we're being fed a narrative that there's a lot of scarcity. Now, in the wheat market, there is scarcity. 25% of the world's wheat comes from Ukraine.
Yeah.
The export, right? 25% exported.
You know who's going to get in a bunch, their panties in a bunch is the LME. Have you guys read what's going on with the LME busting these trades?
It's unbelievable.
Yeah. And they wouldn't open the floor for what, 72 hours.
How does anyone have any confidence in them as an exchange?
It's like the Russian stock market.
Yeah. Does anybody know how I can get my hands on physical rubles?
No.
I don't.
I don't really want to use my Onion browser for that, but I guess I might have to.
I mean, have someone go to. I don't even know if you can go to Russia and get physical rubles anymore.
Yari will sell you something, but he may want to break your foot a finger or two.
Yeah, I'm not in for that part. I've already got a pinky that doesn't bend, so it's like
old football injuries die hard.
Yeah, that was a basketball one because I thought I was actually really good at that too. So whatever.
I remember those days.
But like, yeah, the LME thing is just confusing. And that it was over nickel was a little bit weird. I thought if anything would blow up, it'd be copper.
You know that most copper is mined as a byproduct for strip mining gold?
Yep.
Which gave me a new appreciation for the fact that copper should not be priced where it's at. Because they get so much of it.
But copper is so much in demand, and I forget what the end use is. What's the end use, Lefty? There's a big end use that has increased exponentially over the last 5 or 10 years.
Well, it could be the 1930s gutters that have had to have remade on my church because they keep getting ripped up and stolen.
It may be those, but I'm not sure that that's driving the bus. I'm not certain.
Maybe.
No, I mean you've got it in all of your, the conductivity of copper is such that it's really good in wire, it's really good in cable, it's really good as a, it's not as good as gold in moving electricity, but
Well, there's some need. Maybe it may have something to do with the electrical batteries. I don't know.
yeah, I think your big component there is lithium, right? Which is
Lithium, yes, and everybody says buy lithium. I got people buying it, like getting it into it any way they can.
yeah. Well, let's remember that we were also told to buy palladium, and we were also told to buy. Let me establish a really big position, and then somehow get on CNBC and tout my own book. Oh yeah, we've been long palladium for 6 years, and we feel like it's gonna pop. And then everybody's like, I'm gonna go buy it, and you just sit there. And CNBC is a bunch of, and I hope one of them comes on here because I've got some fun questions for those clowns. But talk about parroting a narrative. By the way, Muck, I forgot to mention, your internet is much better this time around. Thank you so much for your upgrade.
I do it for the people, yo.
You fed the gerbils.
The gerbils are well fed.
Anyway, I don't have much more, guys.
Yeah, we're at an hour. This was fantastic. It felt.
So speaking of ag, though, that China is a #1 producer of wheat in the world, but they're also an importer of wheat. So they produce the most wheat and then they just keep it in house, and they have to even pull in more.
Where we sell wheat to China.
Yeah, like Ukraine produces a ton to export because they don't really need a lot of it, which is I think this is really gonna fuck a lot of shit up. I think we could take that over, but we pay people not to grow shit constantly.
We don't pay people. We pay corporations. I will tell you, I am farm legacy right here. I know that the farmland around our farms in central Illinois have all been gobbled up by large conglomerate operations that are run so sterilely that it's disgusting. And my cousin, who I follow on Twitter and I tweet with occasionally, does 50,000 piglets a year out of his farms. Their acreage is almost exclusively to feed those pigs. And he said he can't get any more acreage around him because it's all been gobbled up by the Bill Gates type giant farmland idea. So
Cargill.
All right, my boy. All right, boys. Been a pleasure.
Do it again.
Let's do it again next week, Buck.
We can do that. I will be in Hawaii, so it will be from a more tropical location than my office. So,
I will not be doing it next week. I will be in North Carolina with my family on spring break.
All right. Me and Bob will do it. I'll have a window view of the ocean for everyone. And see you guys when we see you.
Yeah.
Peace.